Truth Unveiled here, and today I have an urgent report to share with you. We're going to be talking about the second wave, and you're going to be seeing that it's happening once again just in time for the fall, just in time for the fall appointed times. Because we're here at the Wall Street Journal that says Israel to shut down again as second coronavirus wave hits. Cabinet backs new lockdown and is placed to extend over Jewish holidays, essential businesses to stay open. Do you see what this is leading up to? And this is in the fake region. And in case you're new to this network and wondering what I mean when I say the fake region, please take a look at our video that was already done on this subject in great detail. But the article goes on to say right here, Israel will begin a second nationwide lockdown, and this was as of last week, as its government struggles to contain a fresh coronavirus outbreak that has hammered the economy and divided the country. The lockdown aims to prevent mass gatherings during the Jewish holidays that began and it lasts at least through early October. It extends through their Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, holidays that typically involve millions of Jewish worshippers attending synagogues and gathering for prayer services. If deemed effective, Israel will later move to localized lockdowns of coronavirus hotspots. And then they talk about in the article how Israel has one of the worst coronavirus rates per capita in the entire world. And then Netanyahu also said that they're not going to be able to gather together with extended families, and some are going to see damage to businesses. Now, what's interesting about this is that under the lockdown measures, people must stay within 500 meters or 550 yards of their homes unless shopping for essential goods or seeking essential services. Those businesses considered essential, such as pharmacies and supermarkets, will remain open. Private businesses that don't interact with the public will also be allowed to remain open, unlike restaurants, hotels, or gyms, which must close. Gatherings will be limited to as many as 10 people indoors and 20 people outdoors. But again, do you see what this is leading up to? Didn't we talk about that in our video just a couple of weeks ago and get ready for the fall? How they were planning on what, a second potential lockdown just in time for the fall. And what you're about to see is that it's not just Israel that's doing this, it's other places as well. This was actually recent that was reported from Al Jazeera that says COVID-19, all you need to know about Europe's second wave. Alarm spreads across the continent as cases of the novel coronavirus rise amid relaxed physical distancing. Now, again, that's what they're going to tell you is that, oh, the cases are rising, even though we know the truth about COVID-19 and what it really is and where it really comes from and who's really behind it. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, please take a look at our videos that are linked in the description box below to learn more, or click on the card as well. Now, I've scrolled down in the article for the sake of time because I want this to be a quicker video, but what you'll see right now is it says here, what can be expected if coronavirus cases continue to rise? Now, again, do not be deceived by what the mainstream media is telling you. The reason we're reporting on it is so that we can reveal the truth and expose the lies. But it says right here in this highlighted portion, quote, I would anticipate we may see the circuit breaker lockdown devised in Singapore, where you shut businesses and hospitality for a few weeks. We may also be advised not to travel or to visit other households, which is already the case for 13 million people around the UK with local restrictions in place. There may also be strong advice not to see our older relatives and to shield the elderly again. So we see how once again they are trying to do it just like the first one, but we know that it's more consequences indeed. And speaking of the UK, it was reported today actually from the New York Post that the UK adopts tough lockdown measures amid alarming second wave of COVID-19. Again, pay careful attention to how the mainstream is saying second wave, second wave, second wave, and pay careful attention to how this is happening in places outside of America. Because when it happens again in the United States, well, you can already guess what's to come right after that. Because like we we've talked about in previous videos, the first lockdown was only a test to see how long they can lock it down, a test to see how the public would react, a test to see how the sleeping public would react to wearing masks and physical social distancing, a test for all of that. Now that they've done that test for how many months now, they're ready for the real thing. And not only that, but to bring in this vaccine. And we're going to be talking more about that later on in the video to come. However, what I found very alarming about this article is when you scroll down talking about Boris Johnson, where Johnson ordered all pubs, bars, and restaurants to close at 10 p.m. starting real soon, with only table service allowed, saying, quote, "Sorry, this will hurt many businesses just getting back on their feet." However, they insist that it's needed because according to them, the virus is going to keep spreading. But is this really about a virus, or is this really about world control? Not only that, but it goes on to say Johnson also halted the planned return of spectators to sports venues, ban indoor team sports, and have the numbers allowed to attend weddings from 30 to 15. They also stressed the rules, quote, "will be enforced by tighter penalties." Now pay careful attention to this because it says first-time offenders caught not wearing a mask against rules facing fines of more than $250. So now they're enforcing fines with all of this as well. Wow. And that's not the only thing, because then it goes on to say here that those failing to self-isolate, meanwhile, face fines of more than $12,500. So you see that what is this leading up to? It is leading up to draconian laws in place, a world that is what? Owned and run by a dictatorship, one world order, new world order in the one world government. Now, although this was reported almost 3 months ago from CNN, I wanted to share the title with you all because it says right here why a second shutdown over coronavirus might be worse than the first and how to prevent it. Again, what are they hinting at? A second shutdown. And we already see, of course, they're going to tell you that, oh, the wave is spreading and oh, there are more coronavirus cases in Europe as they're upticking and upticking. Is that really what's going on? Because now they're telling and claiming that Europe is basically about to shut down again, with UK already closing once again. And now you see too, as we talked about, that Israel is also shutting down as well and has already begun their second lockdown and has enforced it for this remaining season. But that's not the only thing about Israel that you need to be paying attention to, because recently, about a month ago, there was this video that was done by a rabbi that I wanted to share with you so that you can see and understand the prophetic significance. Now, again, we know that they are the Jewish and we know that they do lie according to scripture, according to Revelation 2:9 and according to Revelation 3:9. But the reason I want to share this video with you is because you need to pay attention to the prophetic significance and also see how it could have something to do with the false Messiah, and also when it comes to the vaccine and the beast system. Now, of course, we have to beware what they're saying and never trust our enemies, but it's important that you understand and read between the lines, because that is where you will find the truth indeed.
I'm going to tell you with certainty. Hashem will help us. We'll meet together after Rosh Hashanah. And remember what I'm telling you. This Rosh Hashanah is the last one without Mashiach. This Rosh Hashanah is the last one without Mashiach. This Rosh Hashanah is the last one without Mashiach. And it's very possible that already on this Rosh Hashanah, Mashiach is going to reveal himself. And it's very possible that already on this Rosh Hashanah, Mashiach is going to reveal himself. And those who know me, for more than 40 years I've been giving shurim. How many years have you heard me, Abinah? For 10 years. Have I ever spoken about Mashiach? I've never spoken about these issues.
Now, again, that's according to what that rabbi is saying. Again, we don't know that for certain, but again, it's very important to pay attention to these things, folks. How it was said in the video that this Rosh Hashanah for them would be the last one without their Messiah. Now, their Rosh Hashanah, they observed it just a couple of days ago, and then they said that that their Messiah would be revealed, but do not be deceived because the Jewish Messiah is who? The anti-Messiah of the world, the beast system, the beast technology, the beast satanic kingdom that is already here, that is already on the go. And again, what you have to pay attention to is if this anti-Messiah is soon enough revealed, well, what could be the implications of it? Could it have something to do with this potential vaccine as well? Because isn't it also a surprise or a coincidence that as we've talked about previously in our videos about the vaccine, how NPR reported just a few weeks ago that states prepare for potential fall vaccine distribution under pressure from the CDC. Wow, what perfect timing to have a second potential lockdown, with the second lockdown already going on in Israel and already preparing in the UK and other places with strict measures in places such as Singapore, like we've talked about in previous videos as well. And remember how we even talked about in our Singapore video that they can fine you up to how many thousands of dollars if you refuse to comply with their rules, if you refuse to submit to the B system. What is this all leading up to is the better question. But if you go down, it all reads right here that the CDC, or Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, recently sent guidance to states on how to prepare to distribute a COVID-19 vaccine. The agency asked for a distribution plan as soon as October and said that vaccination sites should be ready by November 1st. Those dates caught a lot of people off guard and placed off some alarm bells that political pressure was tainting the process. Wow, right in time for the selections too. No surprise or coincidence. And like we've talked about before, they already have the vaccine ready, folks. They're going to keep giving you that narrative that, oh, the vaccine's in phases and that they're in clinical trials. No, they've had it ready a long time ago. And we cannot forget about Facebook changing their terms of service, as we've gone over extensively as well, as of October 1st, 2020. Once again, in time for the second lockdown, in time for the vaccines potentially being distributed around that time, in time for the selections that will occur on November 3rd, 2020, with Trump and Biden and all the other ones, when your vote does not even matter at all. They already know who's going to win before there even is a selection, or should I say an election. But again, what is this all leading up to right in time for the fall? Because it says here a new clause will let Facebook remove content or restrict user access to avoid lawsuits or regulatory impacts, as we've talked about. And again, we've already gone over this in detail. If you would like to learn more, please take a look at the links that are linked in the description box so that you can read it on your own time. But why am I talking about all of this right now? Because again, folks, you need to pay attention to the media and pay attention how we are getting closer and closer to that new world order, to that one world government, to that beast kingdom, that beast system that is already here, basically with the vaccine, and how it can also have tracking devices as well. Not only that, but of course with Facebook, with their terms of service, because they're going to remove content and remove anything that is truth related, so that soon enough you cannot talk about the truth at all. And whenever the Jewish Messiah, which is the anti-Messiah, is revealed, whenever that will be, and it could potentially be real soon, sooner than we think, when that happens, well, guess what? Now people have to submit to their false Messiah. And whoever doesn't, well, that is grounds for execution. And they're already putting the laws in place for this stuff, folks, especially with the lockdown and with the vaccines going on, and with the second lockdown, because it's only a test until they bring it to America just in time for this elections. They're getting ready for protests, riots, and civil unrest during that time, and even potentially beyond that time as well. So now more than ever, we need to be learning and keeping these fall appointed times. Now, we've already done plenty of videos on this, and I will link the calendar Once again, in the description box below, the previous scriptures often ignored videos talked about the fall appointed times, how to observe them, and when we will be keeping them. We've already gone over this extensively, but what trumpets, atonement, and tabernacles, the dates are different from the Jewish calendar than when we're keeping them on. Again, if you would like to learn more about that, please take a look at the videos and the information that is linked in the description box below, as we do not have time to go over it now. But now more than ever, folks, it's time to seek Yahuwah and his true son Yahusha so that you will be ready at all times. But this is Truth Unveiled here, keeping you updated and saying as always, Shalom.